Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Sabbath class, 4th of September, 2021. We're going to be dealing with Nimrod a little while later on in class. Okay. So I'm asking everybody to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification button. This channel is a non-Messianic channel. For those who don't know, Tanakh and the Torah is what we deal with. Tanakh is the Old Testament, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Okay, shalom and welcome everyone. We're going to do our moment of silence, our prayer, and the songs, and then we're going to go into current events. Then we're going to spend a little time dealing with Nimrod. Okay. Get some. Oh Lord, we come before thee the Sabbath day, bow down with great respect for our Redeemer. Lord, you confess through your prophet Isaiah that you would turn us and that you would pour your spirit out upon us. And you have done that. You have poured your spirit out on us in great fashion. Because of this, O Lord, we have found you in your holy scriptures, great in counsel and mighty in works, for thine eyes are open upon all the ways of men, and give us everyone according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. O Lord, behold, thou hast made the heavens and the earth by thy great power, and thy stretched out arm. There is nothing too hard for thee. Knowing all these things, O Lord, we eagerly await thy coming, the day in which thou wilt break the yoke of our oppressors. Peace be unto you. Okay. You read the Psalms right quick. I'll read Psalm 31. It says, in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. This is a Psalm of David. In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in thy righteousness. Bow down thine ear to me. Deliver me speedily. Be thou my strong rock, for a house of defense to save me. For thou art my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for thy name's sake, lead me and guide me. Pull me out of the net that they have laid previously for me. For thou art my strength. Into thy hands I commit my spirit. Thou hast redeemed me, O Lord, God of truth. I have hated them that regard lying vanities, but I trust in thee, Lord. I will be glad and rejoice in thy mercy, for thou hast considered my trouble. Thou hast known my soul in adversities, and hast not shut me up into the hands of the enemy. Thou hast set my feet in a large room. Have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am in trouble. Mine eye is consumed with grief, yea, my soul and my belly, for my life is spent with grief, my years with sighing, my strength faileth because of mine iniquities, and my bones are consumed. I was a reproach among all mine enemies, but especially among my neighbors, and they fear to mine acquaintance. They that did see me without fled from me. I am forgotten as a dead man out of mind. I am like a broken vessel. For I have heard the slander of many. Fear was on every side. While they took counsel together against me, they devised to take away my life. But I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my God. My times are in thine hands. Deliver me from the hands of my enemies and from them that persecute me. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant. Save me for thy mercy's sake. Let me not be ashamed, O Lord, for I have called upon thee. Let the wicked be ashamed, and let them be silent in the grave. Let the lying lips be put to silence, which speak grievous things proudly and contemptuously against the righteous. Oh, how great is thy goodness, which thou hast laid up for them that fear thee, which thou hast wrought for them that trust in thee before the sons of men. Thou shalt hide them in the secret of thy presence from the pride of man. Thou shalt keep them secretly in the pavilion from the strife of tongues. Blessed be the Lord, for he hath showed me his marvelous kindness in a strong city. For I said in my haste, I am cut off from thine eyes. Nevertheless, thou art heard the voice of my supplications when I cried unto thee. O love the Lord, all his saints, for the Lord preserveth the faithful, and plentifully rewardeth the proud doer. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart, all ye that hope in the Lord. That's Psalms 31. This is a Psalm of David. In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Okay, does anything ring a bell for anybody when I was reading that?
Verse 5.
What's that? What's that?
Into thine hand I commit my spirit.
Okay.
Redeem me, O Lord God of truth.
Yeah, that's the same thing JC said on the cross.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody got any current events? Okay, here we go. I thought this was kind of interesting. So we're going to play it, and then see if anybody got any comments. We talk about it.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. So, family, I want to go ahead and give you all this video. A video that I find very interesting, to where I want to go ahead and let you think about it. And in this video, you're going to find that there is, I will call, evidence to show that under the UV lamp, that it picks up some of the melanation in some of the white people. And I say that because you're going to see that unbeknownst to our eyesight, which we cannot pick up, you can see the small pigment round circles, which they will call freckles. They are a little larger, so your eyes can see them. But the separation of the skin color. And then you will see at the end of the video that this young sister, who's lost her skin color due to a disease, that she's becoming, or rather beginning to look like, a white woman. Now, it doesn't take a rocket science, and it doesn't take one to consult a professional to see that if this disease, as today, was it yesterday, thousands of years ago? I don't know, and I'm not a professional, but sometimes in life, things are as simple as they come. And there are many of us who overlook the answers that we're looking for because we're so used to complicating things. But I am submitting to you that you are smart enough to where even when they have used the sunscreen lotion, that they like to call the sun blocker, but it goes on white, but under the UV, they're turning themselves black, because our skin absorbs the UV and is a protector as it builds up from burning us like it would do a white person. These are the things I think we need to think about and share with your children. Because at the end of the day, we are the original people. This is not me saying this. This is scientifically proven. But nobody wants to cross the line to at least ask the question, was the melanin actually depleting out of the white person? Are they part of the black human race? If yes, then the scientists should be able to explain. The medical should be able to explain. Why is there a change in the color? Now, you can fall for the change of climate, but I'm here to tell you, because I'm your man, not your boy. There's been a disease that has happened over the years to where we see the different shades of color that sprung out of us. And we have what we have today, the different races. Enjoy the video. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
You know, very few people want to admit that white comes from the original color black. But from the UV camera, from what the sun sends out into the universe, people find out what they really look like when they're in the camera. And what they're going to find is that all the blemishes, spots, and the wrinkles hold those spots of melanin which the average eye cannot see. And even those who have...
It's the mark right here. It's the mark you're always talking about.
Little melanin in their skin, they will see the color protruding. And to their amazement, they are surprised, they are shocked, and some are without words. But when we gather the information, the evidence, Mother Earth put the original man in existence with the skin color black. And with tests that are done to show what the UV does, as well as the sunscreen, which they would want to call sun blocker, you're going to find it actually makes them black. Because black is a protectorate in the melanated chemistry of a man's body. And over the years, thousands and thousands of years, somehow, white people today lost it. And so now when you see them with the sunscreen lotions putting on while they're at the beaches, they're painting themselves black, putting themselves back to the original. And this is how they are. And so while you see the smiles and the grins and the laughs, for those who are white, be proud of being part of the black human race. So as you stand proud of your skin color, of being black, some can't face the truth, and some are very disturbed by it. Vitiligo, an autoimmune disease that 1% of the population will deal with, that will see their skin color change to white. And this effect 1% of the population, where you'll find many people of color who deals with this disease, and watch their body slowly turn into being white. And sometimes you'll find that this is a psychological battle that many of them will deal with. Even the famous Michael Jackson claimed that he had vitiligo. And now we see that there are those who we walk around this earth and pay close attention to see how possibly the Europeans got their skin tone. Many don't think about it. But if one would give a thought to consider how a man of color can be metamorphosized into a different race.
Okay. Any comments? No comment?
I know that they have been promoting people with that disease, saying that it was like beautiful, putting them in magazines and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so what he was showing us was through the UV rays, all of them have those freckles on them, but you can't see them with the naked eye. So when they put the UV ray on there, he's showing you how they look. So that's when you go back to the scriptures, and the Most High says it's a mark on them. They've been hiding it. He marked them, but they ain't dipped. And that's why he's saying he's commanding us. And then another thing he showed that I thought was astounding was that that's where all the other races come from. Because all the races you get is from it's a man on the extreme left that's white, and you got a man on the extreme right that's black, and all the races in between that came from that. So they came from when he turned Cain white, and you get all the other races from the intermingling. You get all the other races from that, and that's why the Yah is telling us don't intermingle with them, because it sprung from the fact that it sprung from the fact that what he had done to Cain. And so then the other thing that was a facade was the sunscreen. That without the UV rays, and when us looking at it with our naked eyes, they put it on, you don't see nothing. But when they get under the camera, they actually are smearing on dark skin, to protect themselves from the sun, from the UV rays that we already have. We walking around with that on us.
When they go in those suntan booths, they get dark, and you can see the freckles come out then too when they try to get dark like us.
Right. Ain't that something?
Yeah, so like I said, yeah.
Right. That's big. So this reason why I keep on reading this right here. And like I said, I'm hoping that it registered. So, and like I said, it ain't for everybody, but I'm in Numbers, chapter 12, when Miriam received leprosy. And the leprosy don't start in the book of Numbers. It started, leprosy is what he did to Cain. What people not understanding. That's leprosy start back there when he cursed Cain. They didn't put a twist on it. So Numbers chapter 12, verse 10 says, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. So, we read that and just like I said with when we was looking at the punishment and the judgment for certain things in Leviticus, when the Most High said, kill them, we slapping them on the wrist. When it's way more serious than that. Just like houses. Yahweh a God of houses. So you over there with somebody else property, and then wickedly knowing why you got it, the penalty for that is to kill that person. It ain't about no going to slap them on the wrist. So right here we see that this leprosy, Most High telling us, behold, she was leprous. There's way more repercussions and way more going on with that. So verse 11 says, and Aaron said unto Moses, Atlas, my Lord, look at this, I beseech thee, talking to the Lord of hosts, lay not this sin upon us. See that? So you can't fumble with it. So right here off the jump, when you see it, it's sin. It ain't nothing to be desired and go lay up with. He says, and Aaron said unto the Moses, Atlas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not this sin upon us. See that? Upon us. So once he turned Miriam this color and she amongst them, it's sin amongst them. Come on. See that? Say, lay not the sin upon us, upon Israel, wherein we have done foolishly and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be as one dead. See that? Zombie. Let her be not as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried unto the Lord. This is how severe it is. Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, heal her now, O Lord, O God, I beseech thee. And the Lord said unto Moses, this is from the horse's mouth right here. And the Lord said unto Moses, if her father was spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days, and let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her be received in again. Yeah. So that's how serious that is. And brother on the video just showing you what time it is. But like I said, we ain't paying no attention to that. We still going along every day like it ain't nothing. And then you wonder why all the things that's befalling us is befalling us. It's the people that's around us. Seeing in we seeing in the camp. That's what Moses said right here. I didn't say it. Verse 11. And Aaron said unto Moses, Atlas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly and wherein we have sinned. So immediately once he turned her white, it was a problem. And then the Lord of hosts tell him, take her out from amongst you for 7 days till you turn the skin back, till she back like you. But the whole time that she got this leprosy and been turned white, it's something wrong. Well, we didn't totally forgot that. None of this register when we see these folks. That's a problem. Yeah. Okay.
Brother Leonard.
Okay.
Wouldn't Satan be the first one that was turned white?
Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer.
Right. Yeah. Right. He was. Yeah. But I was saying, the first man was Cain.
Because that's the seed.
Right. And then like I said, with me, what looking at that and understanding whether his creation, whether it's beings, angelic beings, or humans, that's what he do. He turn them white. So let's look at something right quick before I go forward. I'm in Ezekiel right quick. Ezekiel. I might have showed you this before, but I'll show you again. So I'm in Ezekiel chapter 1. And like I said, when they got up under UV rays and on the video, come to find out the sunscreen is black. It's a black substance, melanated substance. So it says in Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and fire enfolding itself, and brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof came the color of amber, out of the midst of fire. Also, out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance, and they had a likeness of a man. See that? So everyone had 4 faces, everyone had 4 wings, and their faces were straight feet, and the soles of their feet was like the soles of a calf, and it sparkled like the color of burnished brass. See that? Dark, melanin. So they got these angelic beings melanated, just like we melanated. So I'm showing you that for a reason. So when the Most High get angry, he got angry with Cain, turned him white. He got angry with Miriam, turned her white. He got angry with the serpent. And we know what he done. Took the melanin out of him. Well, the fallen angels. He took the melanin out of him. Right? So this is what I believe right here. So when you understand that, that's why they saying that they go to the story of Noah and they putting in there, when you understand how wicked these folks are, they saying that Noah was albino. So why they saying that? And then they turn around and say, when Lamech went and talked to Enoch, he told him that his son looked like the angels. What angels? The fallen ones that he didn't turn them white. Cursed them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
funny with that. Yeah. So once you see what he's doing, you can put the rest of it together. You know, he got mad at Cain and everybody else when he took the melanin from them, so he took it from the fallen angels. So the Israelites people, Adam's descendants can identify them. Yeah. So, and then you have to look at when they had the melanin is when they had all these abilities, just like us now. That's the reason why we run over everybody on the football field and on the basketball court, because we had a melanin. But take the melanin away, you ain't gonna be able to do that. So these angels said they couldn't ascend no more. So what happened? They was ascending before when they had the melanin. So evidently he took whatever it was they had those abilities, he took it from them. And that's what made them white. So it ain't nothing pretty about a white being white at all.
I want to inject. Didn't you show or somebody put in for us to look at a video by Thought?
By who?
Action Camera or Thought Action Camera or something like that. And it's talk about the fallen, and it shows them as being white with bald head. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
They showed it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what all the movies they show you when like the caves, the movie about the cave and Dissension and all those movies where they go down in these caves and these animals and beings or whatever been down there for a long period of time. They all white, and they just started. It ain't nothing good about that whatsoever. And nothing good about it. And so the only reason why you got these other races is the man over here, the Most High created with all the talent and the power and the talent. That's how you get the other races. They all cuts off of him from dealing with the white person. If they'd have been obedient from Jump Street, he wouldn't have got all these other races. And that's why he's telling us, don't mingle with them. Because that DNA, you're gonna get that DNA in us, and we looking at it now. We wouldn't have no back in times of Harlem, when Harlem was at its peak in Chicago and all that was going on. We wouldn't have no Down syndrome kids. It's after we start intermingling and we start having all these kids that's ain't right, can't get right. And that's what he was talking about. It was not to intermingle with him. Yeah. Any comments? Okay. So I got this one more right here. This right here is a joke. So the guy Fauci, now all of a sudden, he says that, can y'all see that?
Yes.
It says 3 doses. Now 3 doses of COVID-19 vaccine are likely needed. It was 2. Now all of a sudden, you need 3 doses of COVID-19. See that? All of a sudden, you got to have 3 doses to get the jab vaccine are likely needed for full protection, Fauci says. So somebody need to come up there with a mallet and wrap him upside the head. Cause come on, man, what you talking about? This 2 years later, now you saying you need 3 doses? They say with the latest COVID-19 surge upending America's life yet again, upending America's life again, an official rollout of the booster doses could begin within weeks, pending FDA authorization, and it's likely that 3 doses of the vaccine are needed for full protection, Dr. Fauci said. So let's look at that. So we saw what the brother was saying that we watched the video on, Doc Whitaker. So he said what they're putting in us is an operation system they're gonna use later on. So they saying that they needed 2. They put the first one in there. When you go back and think about it, when you paint your house or paint something in your house, you got to put a primer on first. The primer is gonna make the paint work better. Then you put the paint on there. And anybody that ever did that, you can tell the difference. If you put primer on first, or you just paint on the wall without the primer, it's a whole different thing. So look at that same way. The first shot is to prep you for this operating system that they're talking about. Now they done figured out that ain't enough. They got to come with another dose. Ain't number you guinea pigs. But we're gonna talk about something else. Okay, yeah. So yeah. So you see that? Okay. Let me get over to something else. Okay. Anybody got any comments? Or we at a point now with I'm gonna open up for well, I got one more video. My bad. Let me see if I got it on here. Okay, here we go. Did I show this already? Hurricane Larry?
Not this one. No.
Hurricane Larry is expanding in size and growing stronger as it churns in the Atlantic. Now, it's looking very impressive on this satellite view. It's already a major hurricane, and it will likely continue to grow stronger over the next day or so. And while it will weaken somewhat after that, it still could be a Cat 3 as it nears Bermuda, and Bermuda is our biggest concern right now. Now, remember, this shows you where the center of the hurricane could go, and we are going to find the impacts well beyond the center. Remember, this is a very big storm. As far as where it goes after Bermuda, notice it's going to curve off to the right, and that'll keep it away from the U.S. in terms of any direct impacts, although we will see some indirect ones. Waves that'll be a huge deal for Bermuda, certainly, and then also along the eastern seaboard. Watch for those waves to pick up, and also we'll watch an increase in dangerous rip currents.
Okay. You get some? Okay. So I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything that we talked about over the past week or so this morning or either Friday night. You want to get some clarity on or shine a light on. Okay. So what we're gonna do is I got a couple of videos I'm gonna play. I'm dealing with Nimrod. I say we'll be on here for about an hour. I want to shine a light on Nimrod, and then it's 2 videos. I'm gonna play the first one, and we'll break it down, and then we'll play the second one. So let me get it. Okay. Here we go.
The story of Nimrod is a controversial topic. Most of what we assume to know about Nimrod is from extra-biblical accounts. For those that are interested in learning what the Bible alone teaches about Nimrod, this study might be of some interest. Genesis chapter 10. Cush fathered Nimrod, who was the first on earth to be a mighty man. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before Yahweh. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. From that land, he went into Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth-ir, Calah, and Resen, between Nineveh and Calah, that is the great city.
Now let's look at that. I want to show you something. So I was shining a light on something this morning about that great city. And I told you when you go to Revelations, let's go to Revelation right quick. And it says, I think that's in chapter 12. Okay. Right to 18. Yeah, chapter 18, verse 18. Say, and they cried with us, and I saw smoke or her burning, saying, what city is likened unto this great city? See that? So what I'm trying to show you is, we know now from digging that Nineveh is tied to Nimrod, right? And why are you saying that? Because that's where they get the Trinity from. The Trinity comes from Nimrod, Samantha, and Topaz. Topaz was immaculately conceived. So when you come back and look at Christianity, this is what they're dealing with. You're dealing with Nimrod. And so when they over here in the Revelations talking about the great city, they're talking about the city that they God built, Nineveh. And then on top of that, they turn around and say, when it's not JC, they dealing with Nimrod. So when you say Nimrod, then you say, what's the sign? What's the sign? What's Nimrod's sign? The sign of Jonah, which tied to Nimrod. Nimrod built Nineveh. When we read that over in Genesis chapter 10, it go right over our head. Now I'm gonna show you something else. So it says, Cush fathered Nimrod, right? Cush was the father of Nimrod. We know that's a lie, but he was the first on the earth to be a mighty man. So my question is Nimrod the first mighty man?
No.
Cain.
Cain, yeah.
Okay, then after that, what happened? Genesis chapter 6, let's look at it. And like I said, this go right over a lot of people's heads. And they go for this okie doke. So I'm in Genesis chapter 6. It says, okay. It says chapter 6, verse 1 says, it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, daughters were born unto them. The sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. that his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, right? And also after that, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children unto them, the same became mighty men. See that? This before Nimrod. So that's a lie right there. See that? So right there, why are he saying that he became the first mighty man? Trying to exalt Nimrod. They worshiping Nimrod. They're trying to exalt him. And then they come on down and then you talking about this great city, but the city you actually talk about is the city that they built. You ain't talking about no Jerusalem. Okay? Let it keep going. Any comments?
Yes. And isn't Nimrod's birthday the one that's celebrated on the 25th of
Right.
December?
Exactly. Right. And then not only that, like I said before, wasn't Jacob's name changed? Didn't the angel change Jacob's name?
Yes.
He changed it from Jacob to Israel. What? Didn't Nimrod's name get changed? So Amatal?
Yeah.
See that? Okay. And then, yeah, okay.
According to verse 8, Nimrod was the first mighty man on earth. This usually denotes some type of strong, commanding leadership. The same Hebrew word for mighty is also used in the context of a mighty king, mighty warrior, a chief or military leader, and sometimes as a proud tyrant. The word is also used in reference to Yahweh being mighty. He was said to be a mighty hunter. Given the context, the meaning of the mention of the mighty hunter was like,
look at this.
The word is also used in reference to Yahweh being mighty.
Right. So he said that the reference is being used as Yahweh being mighty. Is that the case, or is it referencing somebody else?
I just looked that up. Our El Shaddai, God Almighty, means, I wrote it down, it means a God of the mountains.
So who that is?
That's Lord of hosts.
There you go. Right. That's what. See, I even twisted this up. The word also used in reference to Yahweh. No, mighty is used is reference to the Lord of hosts. Just like he said up here, what mighty means is a king or mighty warrior or chief of the military. That's what Lord Michael is. Michael is a warrior. We already know he's a warrior because he got a sword, and he's the chief. He's the Lord of hosts, chief of the Most High's army. So this ain't Yahweh. And like I said, this is what I mean by, being off on the wrong road. You can't. Go ahead.
I couldn't get the comparison, how he compared Nimrod to the Most High, or the Lord of Hosts.
Okay.
There's no
said to be a mighty.
What's that? Say that again.
There's no comparison.
Right. Okay.
Mighty hunter. Given the context, the meaning of the mention of the mighty hunter was likely twofold. As a hunter, his skill was the taking of prey and the laying of snares. That is the literal interpretation, which is likely valid. Nimrod, being a mighty hunter, and the skills that comprise of being a mighty hunter, would have served well in the building of his kingdom. Given the context of him being the first man with a strong, commanding leadership and the kingdom that he built, it is possible that hunting also refers to the eager taking of prey and the laying of snares for people as a means to build his kingdom. The building of Nimrod's kingdom. It is actually through the names of the cities of Nimrod's kingdom that much is revealed about the purpose and character of Nimrod. The names tell a story. Genesis chapter 10, verses 10 through 12. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. From that land he went into Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth Ir, Calah, and Resen between Nineveh and Calah, that is, the great city.
Right. Notice also that
The first city mentioned.
Notice also that Syria is included in this. Syria is tied to Nimrod. It's where the 10 tribes ended up at.
In the building of his kingdom is Babel. Babel means confusion or mixing. This becomes the heart or capital of Babylon. To come out of Babylon, Revelation 18:4, for example, means to come out of the confusion or mixing. The second city mentioned to be created by Nimrod is Erech, which means to lengthen, prolong, or live with. Thus, so far, the idea of Nimrod's kingdom is to lengthen, prolong, or live with confusion or mixing. The next city mentioned to be created by Nimrod is Akkad. Akkad means subtle. It is also from an unused root word meaning a fortress or to strengthen. Thus, so far, the idea of Nimrod's kingdom is to subtly strengthen the living with confusion and mixing. So the question then becomes, how did Nimrod subtly strengthen the living with confusion and mixing? The next city created answers that question. The next city mentioned to be created by Nimrod is Kala, which means fortress of Anu. Anu was from Sumerian culture and a god that many other gods derived from. So the centerpiece of the first phase of Nimrod's kingdom comprised of subtly confusing and mixing through a belief in a god called Anu. Through Anu, many other gods originated. From this point on, through Nimrod's kingdom, it became commonplace to believe in multiple gods. From there, Nimrod went into Assyria. The next city mentioned to be created by Nimrod is Nineveh. The Greeks/Romans attributed to this as the abode of Ninus. Ninus may or may not be the equivalent of Nimrod. Many of the extra-biblical understandings of Nimrod are based on the possibility that Ninus is Nimrod. The original meaning of the name is unclear, but may have referred to a patron goddess. The cuneiform for Nina is a fish within a house. This may have simply intended place of fish, or may have indicated a goddess associated with fish, or...
So when you go to the Pope, that's what he got on around his head. He got a robe on with a shaped like a fish head around his neck. So it's all pointing back to Nimrod.
And in Christianity, they used to have the sign of the symbol, the fish, remember?
Right, exactly, right.
Simply originally of Hurrian origin. The city was later said to be devoted to the Ishtar of Nineveh, and Nina was one of the Babylonian names of that goddess.
Told you about the wisdom.
Regardless of how things progressed, it was through Nimrod that the idea of confusing or mixing began, starting with dedicating a city to the false god Anu. The integration of a new god that fathered as many as 50 or more other gods would be the opposite of the one narrow path of Yahweh. In fact, that development is reflected in the naming of Nimrod's next city. The next city mentioned to be created by Nimrod is Rehoboth-ir, meaning wide paths or streets. So what we may be able to biblically discern from Nimrod's kingdom is that he is the first emperor to subtly strengthen the living with confusion and mixing. He did this under the umbrella of the god Anu, which a plethora of other gods were developed. He changed the narrow path of Yahweh's instructions into multiple wide paths through multiple gods. And in this, the resilient strength of Nimrod's work was finished or completed, as indicated by the name of his next city. The next city mentioned to be created by Nimrod is Kala, meaning completion and resilient strength. Nimrod's completed finished work has a purpose. That purpose is indicated in the naming of his final city. The final city mentioned to be created by Nimrod is Resen, meaning a bridle. The bridle is the headgear used to control a horse, consisting of buckled straps to which a bit and reins are attached. A horse is an animal that serves man. Thus, the purpose of Nimrod's kingdom was to offer instructive control over his servants through confusion and mixing of Yahweh's ways, and new ways dictated by a new god called Anu, which spawned multiple wide paths through the creation of gods that followed. It is this city of Racine that is called the Great City, meaning the system of control outside of Yahweh's ways, with mixing and confusion through the false god Anu and derivative gods, is Nimrod's greatest achievement. Anu is often referred to as the father of the gods. This is the biblical profile of Nimrod. So what does it matter? It matters because we should not want to be like Nimrod. Confusion and mixing is what we are called to come out of. Revelation 18:4. We should examine our worship of Yahweh and be certain that we do not integrate ways coming from these false gods that all conceptually originated from Nimrod. In the next chapter of Genesis, chapter 11, we find that Yahweh confused all the languages from here, further illustrating that Babel is the centerpiece of mixing and confusion. The names of the gods that began with Nimrod would have become different names through the mixture of languages and dialects, but their origins would be the same. Deuteronomy 12. Take care that you not be ensnared to follow them, after they have been destroyed before you, and that you do not inquire about their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods, that I also may do the same? You shall not worship Yahweh your God in that way. For every abominable thing that Yahweh hates, they have done for their gods. Right. For they even burn their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods. For example, there are elements of the traditions of these gods that may have penetrated the faith in the form of Christmas and Easter days and traditions.
Okay, so like I said before, this stuff is right there in our face. It's going over our head because Yahweh ain't sacrificing no son to nobody, but that's what they do. So now look at Christianity. Whoever this God is that they trying to make us think is Yahweh, he wants his son to be sacrificed. They ain't going. That's not happening in our culture. Nobody sacrifice no son on no cross or burning them or none of that. So like I said before, they done got away with it for thousands of years. They ain't working no more. Let's see what they're talking about. It says, if anybody notice how the book of Revelation seems to go against the rest of the doctrine of the New Testament? In the books of the Gospel of Paul, Christ is shown as a figure of mercy, but in Revelation, he's judged. Right, exactly. They're all over the place. As I say, they're trying to blow him up. That's the reason why they worship him the way they do, because they turn around and blow him up. They use this crafty typology and literary skills and blow him up. Yeah. Okay, anybody got any comments? Anything on the first video?
Yeah, so to further Nimrod's confusion and mixing is what's happening today with the...
Can you turn the volume up?
I said to further the confusion and mixing is what's going on today, especially all across America with the brothers procreating with others. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to what she was saying because that's kind of where I was going as I was listening to the video. I'm just like, wow, you know they wicked, but as it's being unfolded and more information is being revealed to us, it's so wicked, and it's just putting me in the mind aspect of America, between the confusion, between all the different languages that's here,
exactly.
All
right, and mixing. That's the biggest thing here in America is mixing.
Yeah, they force that.
Right. And it ain't, like I said, once the information start coming out, ain't nothing new under the sun. They're doing the same thing they did before. They had us duped on who we was, and we couldn't put ourselves in the equation. But now that we can, like I said, everything unfolded. Okay, we play this last video. Okay.
Nimrod is one of the most mysterious and infamous characters in the Bible. You've probably heard a plethora of tales about this figure. Most of them are wholeheartedly concocted out of thin air and have no basis in history. But the reason they exist is because we know so little about who this person really was. All we have to go on is this brief passage in Genesis 10, which is why conspiracy theorists have tried to fill in the details with wild theories that just lack evidence. However, once we push past these, there are sound, scholarly approaches that give us reasonable possibilities as to who Nimrod was. There are several candidates offered by scholars as to who Nimrod was, which include ancient rulers such as Naram-Sin, Amenhotep III, Gilgamesh, and Nimrkar, and many other possibilities. Having looked at the different theories, I'll present two theories I think are the most likely explanations. All of these are unprovable, but given what the Bible says about Nimrod, we can still make educated guesses. First, let's go over what the Bible says about him. He was said to come from the line of Cush and was something of a mighty man and a hunter. He also was an empire builder. The beginning of his kingdom was at the city of Babel, which might be a reference to Babylon, as well as the city of Uruk and Akkad, and another city called Calneh. Then he conquered the region of Assyria and built up other cities, like Nineveh. So what we are told is a king who reigned in the region of Sumer, and then took over the region of Assyria. Now, when we study the ancient Near East, this actually happened a few times. The first time it happened was at the rise of the Akkadian Empire, under someone called Sargon of Akkad. Oddly enough, when we compare the life and acts of Sargon, they surprisingly fit with the description of Nimrod in interesting ways, which is why some scholars suggest the biblical Nimrod is just a description of Sargon. First, Nimrod was said to be a descendant of Cush. He probably was not a direct son, since he's not listed in verse 7. It is often assumed the descendants of Cush moved south into Ethiopia, but the reality is, it is likely they would have spread out and moved in different directions, as most people do. Some scholars have suggested the Kazites of Iran and the city of Kish could be connected to the descendants of Cush in some sort of way. And Sargon actually was originally from the city of Kish. Now, as we noted in our video on the Table of Nations, sonship did not necessarily mean a biological connection. So Sargon could have been seen as a descendant of Cush, being from the city of Kish. Second, one might object that Sargon doesn't translate to Nimrod, but this issue is easily dealt with, mainly because Sargon is probably not his actual birth name. Yigiel says, "We know very little about Sargon of Akkad himself. His real name is unknown. Sarukin, meaning the true king in Akkadian, is obviously a throne name. So perhaps Sargon's real name was something like Nimrod, but it is also entirely possible the name Nimrod is just a slang term. The name basically means we shall rebel, so it probably was a way for the Hebrew authors to say that rebellious one, almost as a way to insult him instead of naming him directly. Next, the text refers to him and how he began to be a mighty man. Some translations render this to mean he was the first on the earth to be a mighty man, and Sargon in a way is the first empire builder. However, Gary Allen Long and Douglas Petrovich argue it could mean profaning or acting irreverently in order to become powerful on the earth. This would fit with Sargon, but it could also fit with a number of other possibilities. The next line has thrown a lot of people off. Why does it note that Nimrod was a hunter? Well, it was a common motif in the ancient Near East to speak of kings as mighty and accomplished hunters of wild animals. There aren't any reliefs that have been found depicting Sargon this way, but a lot of what existed from that time period has been lost. Either way, we do have plenty of evidence for the theme. Steles from the 4th millennia BC at Uruk depict the king as a hunter. It is a well-known theme in Mari, Mycenae, during the New Kingdom of Egypt, and also in classical Greek literature. Yigiel says, "The first Mesopotamian ruler to boast of prowess in hunting was Tiglath-Pileser I of Assyria, who titled himself Valiant Man, armed with the unrivaled bow, expert in the hunt. He reports slaying wild bulls, elephants, and 920 lions. The theme was renewed almost 4 centuries later by Ashurbanipal. The Hebrew version of the legend then included this Western motif of royal courage. So being depicted as a hunter fits with the cultural context and could fit with a number of rulers, including Sargon. The next 3 verses generally align with how Sargon built his empire. He started in the region of Sumer and then went north and conquered the region of Assyria. 2 aspects need to be addressed in verse 10. First, there is no issue with 2 of the cities mentioned. Even though we don't know where the city of Akkad was, it is mentioned several times in ancient Near Eastern literature. And the city of Uruk is not contested. But there is no trace of a city named Calneh in southern Mesopotamia. Talmudic literature identifies Calneh with Nofer Ninfi, which could be a reference to the city of Nippur. Another more likely possibility proposed by William Albright is to amend the vocalization of the Hebrew word, which would then translate as, in all of them, in the land of Sumer, which would just be another way of saying the rest of the cities in the area. Of course, the third possibility is Calneh is just another city that hasn't been located yet, much like Akkad. The second problem is during the time of Sargon, Babylon was not yet a city. Albright once said he had evidence that Sargon built Babylon opposite of Akkad, but unfortunately, he never produced his evidence. Douglas Petrovich has argued Babel in Genesis 10 should be a reference to the ancient city of Eridu. To his credit, there are several texts that equate Babylon with Eridu. The cities are equated by Berossus. A.R. George also lists several other early texts that equate Eridu and Babylon and indicate the traditions of Eridu became that of Babylon. For example, in one creation myth, Ea establishes Ezekiel, and Eridu and Babylon are considered one, even in this very ancient time. So given the wealth of data on this, it is likely Babylon was seen as the new Eridu, and Eridu was seen as the old Babylon. Therefore, the Babel of Genesis 10 and 11 could be a reference to Eridu, not the later New Babylon established under the Amorites. Finally, the reference to Nimrod moving into the land of Assyria works for the most part. The verb for build can also refer to rebuilding or fortifying, and does not necessarily have to mean the cities did not exist prior to Sargon. 2 of the cities, Nineveh and Calah, are easily identifiable. The other 2 have not been identified. But this is not a huge problem, since many ancient cities that have appeared in records have not been identified in archaeology. So Sargon could fit the description of Nimrod. But there is another interesting option, which is to identify Nimrod with the later Amorite king, Hammurabi. Hammurabi also had a kingdom that began in Sumer and extended into Assyria. Since he was a king, it is likely the motif of him being depicted as a hunter could easily apply as well. And the term Nimrod could easily be understood as a Hebrew title. Hammurabi was occasionally called Lugal Mardu, meaning king of the Amorites. But John Walton notes another word for king was En, and a title such as En Mardu does supply the necessary consonants that could have resulted in the Hebraic name Nimrod. The only difficulty is the Amorites were said to be from the line of Canaan, not Cush. However, the Sumerian term for Amorite meant Westerner, and it could possibly have been the case that several people migrating from the west were all seen as the same people, or all just called Amorites. As Mark Chavalas says, it appears that the Amorites were not a people in any ethnic or political sense. The idea that they were social outsiders also appears to be outdated. Porter has proposed that they had social ties to local populations.
Yeah, these Amorites, like I was telling you, these Amorites, the ones descended from those fallen angels, and they had the long necks, the extremely long necks.
Global herding communities belong to the same peoples, as their southern counterparts. Thus, they were not a separate people, but one dimension of the general populace. So Hammurabi's line could have mixed in with Westerners moving into Sumer and would have been considered an Amorite, even though he was not a Canaanite. This is possible, but still unprovable and speculative. As for the Bible, indicating the Amorites were an ethnic group that descended from Canaan, it's possible there was an ethnic group called the Amorites, and the Sumerians just picked up on it and called everyone in the West an Amorite. But a more likely explanation is to remember biblical sonship does not necessarily mean a biological connection. Canaan could have been said to be the father of the Amorites, just like how Jabal and Jubal were said to be the father of anyone with a specific profession. Canaan was the representative father of the Amorites, even though a specific Amorite king could have actually come from the line of Cush. At the end of the day, this brief passage about Nimrod seems to be about a king who began in Sumer and took over the region of Assyria. In my view, the most likely candidates are Sargon and Hammurabi, but these are only educated guesses, and there are other possibilities. But given the description of Nimrod includes known ancient cities, correlates to how ancient Near Eastern kings were depicted, it can correlate with events that historically happened, it is probable the Hebrew authors are describing a real king that conquered the regions of Sumer and Assyria instead of a mythological figure.
Okay. Any comments?
Enough is enough.
Any comments on that? Okay.
I got a comment. I thought that Nimrod got his name because he was supposed to be like a lion-like man, where he was hunting like people and stuff. And then when he was reading out of the book of Og before, when it was like him describing how he was handling the giants and stuff like that, it was because of his animal-like nature.
Yeah, that whole truth. I mean, this guy right here was the second video. He did a lot of he's doing a lot of speculation, but he wasn't, you know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, the thing about it, from my perspective, looking at it, was he mentioned a lot of names that most people don't know nothing about, but they play a part in history, and they was in the Bible. Well, you know, we just read over it, you know. So when you start looking at that, like for instance, he said that a sonship don't necessarily mean that you came out of that lineage of people through DNA. And so that go back to what I'm saying about Canaan. When Canaan was born, they telling you Canaan. They got Canaan listed as one of Ham's descendants. He ain't no Canaan ain't Ham's descendants. Canaan came through Japheth. Because Japheth the one that slept with Noah's wife. So it ain't none. I mean, it ain't none of his. He don't know that, but yeah, there's no way that Canaan should be listed with Ham's descendants. Because Japheth the one slept with Noah's wife. So if you look at that, that means you got to move all whatever they set up. You got to take all that, the Canaanites and all that. They go with Japheth. They're not no. They ain't tied to Ham. They doing that because they didn't already denigrated Ham and got Ham and turned Ham into a demonic figure, and that's why they stuck Canaan over there with him, because they know the Canaanites is wicked as hell. But it's Japheth that's wicked as hell.
And you are saying that Cush came from Japheth, not from Ham.
Nah,
Because
not Cush, Nimrod. They stuck Nimrod over there in Ham's lineage, but Nimrod ain't come from Ham. Nimrod came from Canaan, and Canaan came from
Japheth.
Canaan from Japheth. What's that? Somebody say something?
That was me. I was saying that he came from Japheth.
Right. Yeah. The Canaanites is Canaanites. Like I said, when Canaan didn't get on the boat, right? Canaan get on the boat.
No.
Canaan didn't get on the boat, right?
Right.
So how did we get Canaan? If he wasn't on the boat when he mentioned the people that got on the boat, Canaan didn't get on the boat. But after the flood, Canaan is mentioned. Where did he come from? He came about when Japheth slept with Noah's wife. That seed that he put in her. And then like I said, he stole the
Yes.
Garment.
the garments and took off. They ain't seen him no more. He took off. And that's how he get the land of Canaan, because when he stole the garments and left, he was on his way to the land, to the north, over there where it's cold at. So on his way there, he came across Shem land, and he viewed it, and he took it. That's what the book of Joshua tell you. So then that's how Abraham and his descendants ended up over in Ur, or the Chaldeans, because of when he got this land, Canaan had took it. So he displaced uh Shem descendants. Shem ended up over in Ur, the Chaldeans. And that's how when you pick the story up with Shem descendants, Abraham and Terah and all them, and they over in Mesopotamia, because Canaan stole his land. And that's the reason the land is called the land of Canaan, because Canaan stole it. But he was originally on his way to his land, which is over in the far north, in the cold regions. But on his way over there, he came across Shem's land, viewed it, and stole it, took it. And that's what I saw the Lord of hosts and Yahweh doing when they come out of Egypt. All he's doing is replacing, fixing a problem that started before that. He's bringing them back to the original land that was given to them. He's bringing them back there. But they have to get rid of the Canaanites that then populated in the land. Got to kill them all. Yeah. Okay. Anybody got anything else? Any more comments? Okay, so like I said before, with that being said, I'm gonna open up for some questions. Somebody have any questions? Then if they don't, we're gonna close it out. We're at an hour and 20 minutes. Anybody have any questions about anything before we go? Everybody good?
Yes,
All
sir.
good.
Okay, yeah. So I'll see everybody on Monday at 7 o'clock. Let me get this. Okay.
In America, the future belongs to everyone, so we built Ford Super Duty.
Okay. Yeah, I'll see y'all on Monday at 7 o'clock. Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.